How are you doing?
I am just peachy. How are you doing?
I am just peachy too.
Sorry,
So
this
where are you
cat.
from, by the way? I'm curious. I always ask people.
I am from Idaho, oddly
Idaho.
enough.
Wow.
Yeah, red
I
as
don't think
fuck.
I've had
But
many people. I don't many discussions with people from Idaho.
yeah, there's not a lot of us here, and they all want to keep on their own, which I can respect. So,
A lot of farming and stuff out there, or what's the
um,
stuff out there?
I mean, where I live, it's a little bit bigger of a city, but on the outside, there's a lot of farming and shit. Like if you want to drive anywhere, you're driving through nothing but farmland. So all
Yeah,
them
I'm from a little bit
potatoes,
of a
potatoes.
potatoes. Yeah, I'm from a
No,
smaller city too, like 60,000, 70,000 people. Well, you said you're from a bigger city, but yeah. So what did you want to debate about? We're talking about Israel today. We're talking about Russia. I mean, you asked me about Russia and Palestine. Well, I do
yeah,
agree it's kind of two different situations completely. I mean, you're
yeah.
probably going to get mad when I say this, but way more people are dying in the Russian-Ukraine situation. I think the total deaths for the Palestine people is about 55, 57,000. But yeah, lots of people are
57 to 70. It's somewhere
yeah,
around there.
yeah.
There's
Lots
some
of people
estimates that
are
it's up in the hundreds, but I'd say
lots of
50 to
people are
70.
starving and stuff like that. But I don't think
Right.
they have official numbers on the Russia-Ukraine situation, but I've heard rumors that it's close to 1 million.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive on the death toll in the Russia conflict, but
Neither of them are going to be honest. Ukraine and Russia are not going to be honest about the total death toll for that situation.
I mean, I would say Russia probably has more of an incentive to be less honest, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I really
I
don't. I
mean,
don't know
yeah,
how it works with that whole thing. But
yeah, but I think
no, yeah,
more Ukrainian people died.
I just remember being in a live, oh fuck, it was like 2 or 3 days ago or something, and you said that Palestine and Russia are the same or they're comparable or something. And so I was
Yeah,
curious
I'll touch
what
on
you meant by
that.
that.
Yeah, no, the only thing that I have to say, I mean, yes, I feel bad for the Palestine people. Yes, it's a little bit like, they attacked first. That's the only comparison. But Israel is definitely, hitting them back 100 times worse. They're definitely like the more, I don't know what the word would be for it. They're definitely the more like, they're acting like Russia is acting right now to Ukraine, but at the same time, the way that they're the same is because Russia attacked Ukraine first and Palestine attacked Israel first. Yes, I understand that wasn't the whole country of Palestine. It was more like Hamas themselves. It
Right?
wasn't really, I don't think it was really the Palestine government. Maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But also, is anybody commenting on here yet? I haven't seen any comments. Some people are just joining in, I guess.
Am I?
Welcome, you guys.
I've never been on a live setting like that. Like I've never debated in a format like this before. The most I've done is debate some friends and stuff. So I don't even know. Would I see the chats too? Like would it pop up on my
Yeah,
screen
yeah, the
too?
chat. You'll see the
Okay.
chats, but I don't. We got 35 people. If you guys are just joining in, someone drop us a comment so we can see. But it takes like 4 or 5 minutes normally before people start coming in. But
Okay.
yeah, like
Okay.
that's the pretty much like
Yeah,
Palestine.
I mean, I would just argue like because I mean the Israel-Palestine conflict, like it didn't start on October 7th, and I don't think that's what you're saying, but like there was definitely an occupation happening. There was people getting excised from their homes and concentrated in this one area. And it's a little odd that the Israeli government was having because October 7th it was like a festival that was going on, and that's where the attack happened. And obviously, as somebody who's critical of Israel and is on the free Palestine kind of side of things, like I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, October 7th, like that was totally cool. That was totally kosher, no pun intended." That like it, you know, obviously that was an atrocity, but they're having a music festival right next to an occupied territory where people are, Palestinians do not have the same rights that Israeli citizens do. Like they just don't. And it's an apartheid regime. Like can we at least agree that Palestinians in terms of what rights they're given in that area, like they don't get the same rights as Israeli citizens.
Honestly, that's an interesting question, but I'm not really sure what you mean by the same rights. I mean, yes, they get a lot of hate and stuff like that, but going a little bit off your topic about their rights and stuff like that, I really don't know about their rights, honestly. If I don't know something, I'm just going to tell you the honest answer of it, but I do know
Right.
about like them getting starved and stuff like that, and I think all that's wrong and stuff like that. But two things I have to say. First is, I mean, I kind of respect what you say about, you're not going to act like it's kosher, no pun intended or whatever, but like, a lot of people that are free Palestine people, I'm not trying to say this is you, maybe it is you. If it is you, you can just come out and say it, you're not going to offend me. But a lot of people that are free Palestine just straight up hate Jewish people. And like,
I
I
completely disagree. I think that's a bullshit Zionist propaganda point. Like
well, if it
most
is a
people who are
propaganda
critical of
point,
Israel
then
don't
why
hate
were
Jewish
two
people.
Israelis killed recently that were like,
Well, you can take whatever straight case you want. Like I could pull a number like that from anywhere about anybody hating any group of people. But as
yeah,
far
no,
as like
like a
the
lot of
majority
it would be like
goes,
me saying, a lot of people are racist, against black people, and stuff happens with them with the police. That would be true. Just like I'm saying, a lot of people hate Jewish people, and a lot of people, that are free Palestine specifically. Like, let's talk about some of the influencers for a second. You know who Nick Fuentes is?
well, yeah, I mean, of course, if you're gonna pick Nick Fuente, he's literally a Nazi. Like
No,
that
he
is
is a
the
Nazi.
worst.
I agree with you.
That's
I
the
don't like
worst.
that
That's
guy
the
at
worst
all.
example you could bring up. He hates Israel for the wrong reason. He hates Israel because he hates Jews, not because of anything that they're doing. He's just an anti-Semite. Like that's a completely different
That was my
scenario than
question for you. Are you an
somebody like.
anti-Semite? I
No,
guess
like
not.
I don't have any problem with Jewish people. I have a problem with Israeli's government specifically and the Zionists in the country. Like there was a poll I saw the other day that was like it was like 46% of Israeli citizens said that um, they think all the Palestinians should just die. Like they think all of them should be killed. And it's a common thing in Israel to say, "Oh, the children of these people like they're future terrorists, so it's not a problem to kill them because they're going to be evil in the future." And like it's that kind of shit that I have a problem with. But like it's
Yeah,
not a
but a lot of
Jewish thing.
people in
It's not a Jewish
America.
thing. It's an ideology thing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I respect that. But a lot of people in America, not just Nick, not just, we got to look at all the popular influencers right now. What is like really popular in social media, really popular in Twitter? It's not even really free Palestine that's popular. It's more popular just to hate any Jewish people nowadays. And I mean, it's funny, it's ironic that the Democrats complain about Trump supporters being Nazis when there's actual Nazis out here like Nick Fuentes, Kanye West, many, many, many other
Who are
influencers that I
both
can
Trump
probably.
supporters.
What did you say?
Nick I said those are both Trump supporters. Nick Fuentes less so recently, but
No,
they
Nick
were both.
Fuentes is not a Trump supporter at all anymore.
He may
Since
be he may be critical of him, but if it came down
no,
to
he's not
Trump
a
or
Trump
anybody
supporter.
else, I
No,
don't know,
no.
man.
I mean, obviously, if it came down to Trump versus Harris, he's gonna say Trump because, like,
Right.
bro, who the fuck wants Harris? No offense if you voted for her. I rather see Biden as
I didn't vote for
president
either of them.
again. I rather see Biden than Harris, honestly. I rather see Bernie than Harris. I rather like
Agreed.
Bro, I did not want Harris like in any shape, way, or form. So that's kind of like an easy question. Oh, if it was came down to Trump or another person, of course he's gonna vote Trump. But like
Yeah,
that's
but I
not
mean, he was
hard.
a pretty vocal Trump supporter in the past,
He used to be
and
a
it
vocal
was it
Trump
was
supporter.
it wasn't until pretty recently that he decided that he thought Trump was cringe or whatever. I don't know.
And he
I don't
didn't even
remember what he
say
said in that
cringe.
video.
The thing that he quoted was that he supports the Jews, which I think is funny because in Trump's first term, pretty much everyone knew that he supported Israel and the Jewish community. So why the hell is he saying, "Oh, he's acting like Trump changed his stance on Israel or the Jewish community or something?" I don't think he changed his stance at all. He's always been like that.
No, yeah, no, yeah, I agree. I don't know. I
I,
don't think Nick Fuentes is that bright, so I don't think trying to
yeah,
analyze
no,
his
he's not. I
brain
don't
is
know
going to
how he
be
got so big,
a tough
honestly.
task. I genuinely don't get it either. It's baffling to me.
Yeah, and I know you said like all the rights and stuff like that. I mean, it can kind of be the same for I mean, some people, I'm sure some Russian citizens that live in Ukraine, I mean, maybe you think that the president of Ukraine is, a free democracy guy. I don't really know if he is or not, but I mean, people argue and say under the Ukrainian constitution during wartime, there's not supposed to be an election, this or that. I mean, I
Right.
read the Constitution. I mean, it doesn't say anything about the elections under war, but there is the maritime law that's under the Constitution. And in the maritime law, it says that you can't have an election during wartime. But still, I don't think that's the most democratic country. But to be fair,
Well, I
a lot of
mean,
European countries and a lot of countries that claim democracy are not really as democratic as they claim.
it's kind of hard. Like, I have heard the argument for that. Like, if they were such a democratic nation, why aren't there elections happening during wartime or whatever? But I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, if you're being invaded and there's all of that going on, it's kind of hard to hold an election. But again, that I don't really know.
Someone said Romania. That's a great example. That's a European country that claims democracy. I mean, they have a communist background, but it
Right.
seems to me that they didn't change that much because they put one of their leading candidates in prison. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if you know
mean,
about that, but
no, not really. The last thing I remember hearing about Romania is Andrew Tate and his brother living there. So,
but yeah, no,
just
a lot
because
of
I didn't
people.
vote for Harris or Trump doesn't mean I didn't vote, Gregory.
Who did you vote for
Anyways,
then? I'm curious.
I'll keep it to myself. We don't have to know that.
Green Party?
What do you think? What if you had to guess? What would you think?
Probably the Green Party. That one lady. What is her name? Trying to remember. You know the Green Party. Maybe you don't. Maybe you didn't vote for it, but maybe we can agree. I don't really like the two-party system too much, but the lobbyists are never gonna, you know, change
Oh,
that.
we could talk all day about corporate
Jill, thank
lobbyists
you. Someone
and
commented Jill. Yeah, Jill Steen. Is that who you voted for?
no.
I can't really think of anyone else. Then who else was on the ballot? I don't know.
Y'all look like y'all 69 from the back.
Yo, I try not to read some of these. Honestly, they're just trolls. Hit the like and subscribe button.
Oh, that shit cracks me up, dude.
Yeah, they try to
Yeah,
they
it's a
try
new
to like
experience for me. I've
offend
never
you.
done something like this before.
It's okay. They try
You
to
know,
offend you, but
it's not gonna work. You can do
too
everything you
many
do.
beers to focus on the chat, and you're swinging back and forth.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's like my bad. I get you.
Fascists are just gonna waste your time, my long-haired friend, brother. I'm not a fascist. I'm not a fascist. You can call me a fascist. You can call me a Nazi, but
Well,
I'm literally talking about
we could definitely get into that.
the Jewish people. I mean, maybe you think I'm a Nazi because of my hat, but
I wouldn't say Nazi, but fascist would probably be more along the lines of
I
what
would
I would
completely
say.
disagree. I would
But
say Nick Fuentes is a fascist. He's much more far
he is
right than
also a
me.
fascist.
Much more far right than me.
What I would argue is somebody who sees everything that Trump has been doing, ignoring courts. We talked about this earlier, but
Well, let's talk about the
deporting
Alien
immigrants
Enemies
to a
Act.
foreign prison that's been well documented on how it tortures its prisoners and how
I
once you
wouldn't
get
say
in, you never get
torture.
out and all that. I
And
mean,
I don't think that's true
they
either. You
they're
know,
in overcrowded cells. Number one, there's no AC to combat the
a lot
humidity
of
and the
American
harsh
prisons are
temperatures.
just like
There's
that.
no there's no windows. I'm not saying, well, we're talking about this prison. I'm not talking about any other prisons. I'm talking about specifically the prison that these immigrants are getting sent to. They're
But
beaten almost daily by the guards in there. They
just
don't
like
get any
most American
visitation. They don't get free
prisons,
time. They're forced to do slave labor. Like,
just like a lot of American prisons, there's a million. We're
American
living in
prisons, there are
the prison
standards. You do
industrial
get free time.
complex.
You get the opportunity to work out or whatever. You do get visitation rights.
Not
Like,
in
people
all
can come and
prisons.
visit.
Not in all prisons.
Well, yeah, if you're like in a high security prison because
23
you've
and
murdered
1. You
30
get
people,
1 hour
probably not.
out. Sometimes they can just put you in confinement with no talking to anybody for a year, 2 years. There's been cases where people have been in confinement for 20 years in America. It's the prison industrial complex. That's exactly what America is. They profit off putting people in prison.
We 100% agree. Like, I'm not denying that, but I'm saying specifically CCOT is a torture
But let me
prison. Like,
fact
that
check
place
you
is
on
fucking
one thing
nuts.
about CCOT. You said that people never come out of there, which is
That's what they claim.
completely false.
That
It's
comes
false.
from CCOT themselves. They say once they get in, they never get out. I'm just quoting
I
what
don't.
they
You
said.
would have to quote me in an article, or I would have to see some kind of source for that because I've seen several videos of El Salvadorians saying, yet like there's this one guy I watched that was in the prison in El Salvador. He said that he was wrongfully convicted because the same thing. He had a bunch of tattoos. They thought he was a gang member, but they let him out after 6 or 7, 8 months. He said it was a hellhole, like you said, like it's a prison. But even him being in there for 7 or 8 months, he said he's glad that El Salvador is doing this prison system there because it was one of the most violent countries in the world, and now it's a very, very safe country that people can go to. It's actually rated higher in safety than Western European countries like France and Spain and Germany. It's rated like the number one grade A rating in travel safety under the American government. And people have been reporting, there's been lots of cases. You can look it up. You have to do your research where people have been sent to mostly local El Salvadorian people. I'm not saying about anything about people from America or people that were sent there from America, illegal immigrants or whatever you want to call them, criminals. Just a little joke there with you, but no, but there's been many cases where people have been claiming that they got out of the prison. Like they're saying, and even the guy, like I told you, he said he's glad that they have this prison system and that they're being so hard on the criminals there. Yes, he says he wish he never went there and it was horrible, but he's glad that the president is cleaning up their country. And I know
I
it's kind
mean,
of harsh. Like he said, like, maybe 5% of there was like an error rate they announced about it. Maybe like 3 to 5% of them are innocent people that ended up there. But, the 95%, the 97% that are there are mostly all criminal people that are, they belong there. But there's a small percentage, just like in any prison system. I think probably more innocent people in the United States prison system than there, to be honest with you, because like if you're facing federal crimes, the federal government in the United States, they have a 98% conviction rate. So with a 98% conviction rate, there's probably, a lot higher percentage of people that are innocent that are in prison in the US.
that may be true, and I'm not saying that El Salvador doesn't have a right to, you know, do whatever they want to do to because it was a violent country. Like that's a completely separate argument. That's their own citizens putting them in their own prison. But shipping immigrants to some foreign prison, not shipping them back to the country that they were coming from, like that
Also,
seems a
the
little
one gay
crazy, does it
guy,
not?
sorry, I interrupted you. Continue.
I'm just asking, does that not like set off any alarms like, oh, this person came from Venezuela, but we're gonna send them to this
I would argue
foreign
that Venezuela is a worse place to be right now. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know how it would work. Maybe they would go to prison there. Maybe they would just be under a dictator, making their life a living hell. But a lot of people in Venezuela, they don't get three meals a day. They don't get one meal a day. They don't get any food. People are starving there. Why do you think people are trying to come in from such record numbers? But the gay guy that got deported, there's worse. I would argue that there's worse prisons. Do you think that there's worse prisons in America than CCOT? Because I absolutely do. I don't know if you know about the Louisiana State Prison, but literally they have no AC. It's hot as hell. They get hit with hurricanes sometimes. It gets flooded. People die from freaking flooding and stuff like that. I heard before. I think it's way, way, way worse conditions, and
dude.
I would just argue it's way worse conditions in both Venezuela and in American prisons. I mean, not all of American prisons. Yes, there's the sweet, nice, a lot of like federal prisons, like Florida State Prison, I think is too nice to their inmates. But that's a whole nother argument.
Again, I'm not making any comments on our home prisons. I'm just making what I'm specifically addressing is there are immigrants who are being shipped off without due process. You can pull out some stray examples of, oh, well, this person was given an immigration hearing, but we are well aware that a lot of these immigrants are just kidnapped and shipped off to El
Well,
Salvador,
I definitely
sometimes
wouldn't
in
use
under
the word
24 hours.
kidnapped.
They're they're taken off the street,
They're
ripped away from their
deported.
families.
They're
They're not given
deported.
access to a lawyer. They're sometimes they're moved to a different
Most of
state
them
so
do
that the
have
immigration
access to
process is
lawyers. How do you
easier.
think they're all getting on the news and they're getting heard and they're saying, my lawyer, this and that? The gay dude had a lawyer. The judge told him, he told the lawyer, you're getting
The people
deported.
going
The
to the
alien
press are their
interviewed that.
families and their lawyers. It's not the people arrested and shipped to El Salvador. That wouldn't make any sense. It's their lawyers and their families that are like, this is what happened. That's where all the stories are coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, they're lawyers, but you just said most of them don't have lawyers. A lot of them have lawyers. And also the Alien Enemies Act. Maybe, do you even believe in a strong border in a country? That's a question. Do you believe in a strong border for a country or no? Do you believe in no
Yeah, I mean,
borders?
we should have a border, and we should, we can't just open the floodgates. Like, there should be some kind of process for that whole thing. I'm not disputing that, but I mean, I would argue that the immigration process needs to be
Hit
pretty
the
much
like and subscribe button, guys. Like and
entirely
subscribe.
revamped
Oh,
because
absolutely. We can agree on that, but you don't agree that we're having, an illegal invasion of immigrants. Like we've had, like I said, the estimates are 20 million illegal immigrants that are living inside of the country. Even if it's 5 million, I would still say that's an invasion of our country. 5 million, even 1 million, even if it's, you know, cut it, I don't know what the percentage would be from 20 million to 1 million, but that's a lot less. Even if there was only 1 million, I would say that's an invasion of our country. Like, I don't think it has to be many people. Like 10,000 people coming in my opinion, is an invasion if they're coming across illegally. I mean, countries like Poland, yes, they have a way worse immigration process. People never cry about Poland. They shoot to kill their illegal immigrants. Anyone that jumps over their border is going to get shot in the back of the head and killed. No liberals in America ever cry about that. They just say, "Oh, America, we're kidnapping." What about in Poland where they shoot to kill? They treat these people like invaders, which they are invaders. That's why they don't have anyone trying to cross their border ever because they know if they try that they're just going to get killed.
okay. I mean, that, again, that's another
Do you
country.
think
Well,
it's an
like,
invasion or not? No, you still say
I
no?
don't think there's grounds to constitute immigration as an invasion. Like, because if you read what the actual criteria is for the Alien Enemies Act, it says something like, I don't know if I can remember it
You don't
verbatim.
even know what it says. And you said at first
I'm
you said it's
saying
wartime.
verbatim. I'm trying to remember verbatim so I don't mess it up. It's something like, um,
Hit the like and subscribe button, guys.
fuck, what is it? Now I'm spacing because I'm on the spot. Basically, that there's some kind of incursion on land, or that there's some kind of threat to, like,
There's a threat, there's an
there's not
incursion.
immigrants coming in, stealing land, saying this is our territory now, and we're
The
invading, and we're
cartel,
okay, sure, but the cartel have been trafficking drugs for the last who knows how long, and the alien enemies, or yeah, it's just never been instated until now. It was just a
it
way.
has been
It
instated.
was a way that Trump's lawyers told him this is a way that we can just expedite and remove immigrants without due process.
Well, I'll
That's
tell
the
you
only
this.
reason.
Like I said before, the reason that we needed this is because we cannot let these immigrants. Think about this. If he didn't have this happen to him, he would just be sitting in a jail cell in America for another 5 years waiting for a trial. It's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 years probably. The legal system is extremely backed up. For U.S. citizens, the legal system is backed up. And that's for actual due process when you're actually going to trial, not just an immigration hearing when the judge says, okay, you're getting thrown out or you're staying. Like they're not going to let you really defend yourself too much. I've never heard of someone going to an immigration trial and beating down the judge with his lawyer and being able to stay. I mean, have you ever heard of that before? Because I haven't. They
Well, I
always
mean,
get told to leave or stay.
they have these hearings because most of the people coming in are either seeking asylum or whatever else may be. So they have their asylum case. Like, the judge takes a look at the evidence, and if they're, let's say it's some guy coming from, I don't know, Venezuela, and the government is persecuting him in some kind of manner, and the judge finds that, okay, yeah, there is a reasonable case that you're fleeing personal or political persecution, then they're given, that's their due process. That's the hearing. They're given their case to speak, or they're given their time to speak their case, and then they're offered protected status if their asylum case is heard and considered valid. If it's not, then they can either be, shipped back to the country. Like, they don't have to. Nobody's like, I'm not arguing that illegal immigrants should just like all be just allowed to stay just because they're here, or just because everybody claims that they're politically persecuted. Like, I do think there should be, like I said, there should be a standard. Like, I'm not saying anybody should just be able to come in whenever they want, but when it comes to removing these immigrants, it has to be done by the legal process. Like, it has to be done correctly. Because if they're going to take these immigrants away without due process, what's to stop them from taking, the homegrowns? We did hear Trump when he was talking
Okay,
to
that's hilarious. He was talking about the criminals that beat grandmas and kill people in the
Okay,
subways.
but still, would you even
Yes,
think that it's
absolutely.
constitutional to send criminals to some
He said he
foreign,
would only do it if it was legal. Only if it's legal.
like
That's what
that
he
ever
said
stopped him?
verbatim.
Like that ever stopped him? The courts themselves
But he
have
is
given him
following the
orders. You
law. He
need,
said they should
like
follow.
they told him they needed to that Trump needed to facilitate. They didn't say you have to make sure he gets back. He just has to facilitate the process to bring
He said
Kilmar Abrego
he's
Garcia
trying to
back.
facilitate it, and he saw the El
No,
Salvadoran
they
president.
basically told the courts to fuck off, that they're not going to do anything.
He
And then
said live on
he
television
had
with his interview with the El Salvadorian president, he said, "Would you like to return this guy?" And the president of El Salvador said, "No, we're not returning him. He's
no, no,
part
no,
of a
no, no, no.
terrorist
What happened? No, 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 no,
organization."
no. What happened was they shot the question to Bukele, and Bukele said, "Oh well, it's not on me. It's on the president. Like he's the one. Like it's not
They
my
shot it
authority
to
to do this. It's
Trump,
the president."
and
And
Trump
then they
said
turned
it's
it
up
over
to
to Trump,
Bukele.
and Trump was like, "Oh, he's in a foreign country. It's not my responsibility." So they were playing a fucking stupid game with the media. They're
Well,
both
Bukele
putting the
said
authority
that
on the
he's a
other person.
criminal.
They were both putting the authority on the other person. Neither of them were taking accountability, and they were just playing a stupid game. They weren't
Bukele
actually
did
trying to
take
facilitate
accountability. He
anything.
said, "We will not be returning this man." That's exactly what the president of El Salvador said. "We're not going to
No,
release a terrorist
he
into the
he
United
did say
States."
that. He did say that, but he said because it's not my authority to send him back. I have to get the authority from Trump. And then Trump
No, he
said,
did not
"It's
say
not my
that part.
authority. He
He
has to
did not
authorize
say
it."
that part.
We
That was
can you can
incorrect.
literally, if there's a way for you to
I
bring up
watched the
the
interview.
if you can bring up the interview right now, we can watch it live.
I'll see about that. I'll try to pull it up right now. But you said he should follow the legal process. The legal process is the federal law, which is the Aliens Enemy Act, which talks, since the Aliens Enemy Act is instated right now, you said he should follow the law. That is technically the law right now. And he tried to. I remember watching this. I watched this a couple times. Let's see if I can pull this up. And if I'm wrong, then I guess I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that Bukele said nothing about how it's Trump's fault. Or
I
what
didn't say it was
exactly
Trump's
did you
fault.
say?
He said that it's not on me to send Garcia back. That authority lies with Trump. And then Trump said the authority lies with Bukele.
No, I do not remember that. I remember him saying that, "What do you want me to do? Smuggle a terrorist into the United States?"
There's literally no evidence that he's a terrorist. The tattoos that they accused him of, or the tattoos that they said were gang affiliated tattoos. He had like an autism awareness tattoo because he took care of his autistic brother or something like that. And then we saw an interview with Trump. I can't remember who was doing the interview, but there was a photoshopped MS-13 on his knuckles, and it was the most blatantly obvious Photoshop I've ever seen in my life. And Trump would
Well,
not
I
move
have
on
a
from
whole
that
video
question.
about that too. The only thing that was added to the photo was the M, which was over, the tattoo that stand for an M. I forget exactly what it was because this has been so long ago at this point. Then there's an S tattoo money sign. Then there's an S over it, showing you what it means. The money sign is an S, that's kind of obvious, but they just put that there to show you. The actual tattoo on his knuckles that stands for MS-13 is there. But I'm trying to pull up the interview.
Literally not, but sure.
Okay, let's see about this. We'll watch the whole video I made about it. And either way, you said there's no evidence. I found the video. It's 2 minutes long. Before I play it, though, I want to say something. You said there's no evidence. Both Homeland Security of the United States, a local police officer, both said this man is a MS-13 gang member from all their research and all their recon. Also, there was
There
an informant that was an MS-13 member
that
that
was
said
in a completely different state that he had never been to, that he claimed he had never been to, and that his lawyers claimed that he had never been to.
we don't know if that's true or not, but he said that too. And the El Salvador intelligence agency said the same thing, that he was indeed an MS-13 gang member. And even if he wasn't an MS-13 gang member, his wife still said publicly that he beat her, and the only reason that she didn't continue filing the criminal charges against him is because they had a nice therapy session and that she changed her mind.
Again, I'm not here to defend everybody. Like, just because I say this guy got deported without due process and that's fucked up and we should, he should be brought back because that's just not how things should work in this country. That's not me saying like I support everything this guy's ever done and this guy's the best guy ever. Like, sure, yeah, he could be a complete total
Shit, I'm
piece
at
of human
1%.
trash.
Hold on.
Like,
Gotta plug in. Hold on. Yeah, you think he's human trash or what?
I don't know. Like, if he beat his wife, yeah, that's a shitty thing to do. Like, don't do that, obviously. Like,
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, that's a shitty thing to do. Yeah, you agree. So would you like him to stay in the country or no?
I don't really. If he's. Sorry. If he was here legally, and if he has a right to be here, then yeah, I think he should be
He
allowed
got
to,
two deportation orders though, so shouldn't he have already been
without due
deported since he
process.
went
And
to court
the
twice?
court said that we
He
need
went
to
to
bring
court
him back.
twice previously though. He went to court twice,
And they
and then they
said
told him
the court
to
ruled
leave.
the court ruled that he was not to be sent to El Salvador. So
That was the most recent one.
if they deported him to anywhere else, I mean, if they did it without due
Previously,
process, that's still illegal and still unconstitutional.
yes, but previously he went to court twice. They told him leave, deportation order. Once he went to court again, deportation order, leave. Then the third time he went to court, they said, "Okay, we'll give you a temporary stay until we have more, processing of paperwork and stuff like that." And then that's when, Trump became president, and then they just deported him after they signed the Aliens Enemy Act. So yes, he didn't have a court hearing for his most recent one since he was technically in a temporary stay order. But I mean, first off, there's the word temporary. But there's other people that had the same thing. They didn't go to immigration hearing, whatever, whatever. I've already explained that's because of the Alien Enemies Act. But this guy specifically, he went to court twice and he had two deportation orders. He went to an immigration hearing twice, two deportation orders. He went to a third time under President Biden. Then they said, "Oh, temporary stay order. You can stay for now. We'll figure out everything later." And then, Trump became president and he said, "No, this guy is an MS-13 gang member. He beat his
With very
wife.
little
He did
evidence.
this." And like I said, you don't have to be found guilty of being an MS-13
But I
gang
mean,
member. You don't have to be found
you just conceded the fact that he was here legally. If he was given temporary status, protected status, that means he's not.
temporary.
Yeah,
Temporary. That means he
yeah,
can
but
get
that
kicked out whenever.
I'm not disputing that. But when the temporary status is still in effect, that means he is still here legally by a court order.
And he also violated that by being an MS-13
We
gang
don't
member.
know if he was an MS-13 gang member. The best evidence we have is a
But
Photoshop
according to the
tattoo.
immigration statute, you don't have to be found guilty of any crime. The only two things to be deported, you have to be a concern for public safety is one way, or a concern that you're involved with a terrorist organization like MS-13 and stuff like that. And I like how Democrats say, trial this, trial that, due process. But in my opinion, my personal opinion, the way the immigration law is written, if you're actually talking about due process, they don't get the same process as United States citizens. Like whenever they get accused of a crime, they just get deported instantly. They never go to a criminal trial. They don't have the
Sometimes, yeah,
right to a criminal trial. They can get deported at any
they do have a
time.
right to a criminal trial. If the government
Then
decides we're actually
why
not,
can they can
we
get
already talked
deported
about
and kicked out
this.
of the country without going to a criminal trial. Isn't that kind of contradicting everything you're saying?
No, it's not contradictory at all. If the government decides we're just going to deport you instead of pursue your jaywalking charge or whatever it is, then yeah, that's up to the government. And then it's still due process because they're given an immigration hearing. And then if that hearing doesn't go their way, then they get deported. That's not a that's not conflicting with anything I'm saying about due
But if they're
process.
guilty, they only give you due process if trial if you're a bad crime like murder and stuff like that. Otherwise, they just kick you out or they send you to El Salvadorian prison. They don't have to give you a full trial for your little petty criminal charge. And if it was real due process, they would give you a full trial for your petty little criminal trial instead of sending you to El Salvador to go to prison there instead. You're understanding what I'm saying? they would let you go to the American prison system instead of sending you to El Salvador for your crime. But they don't give you the right to do that. They decide. They say, "Oh, you either your crime's really bad, so you're a murderer. We're gonna put you in prison here." Or if you do something dumb like gang membership or drug trafficking, then they'll just be like, "Okay, we're sending you to El Salvador." You have no right to decide that. You don't decide that. You agreed with me. You said the government decides that. So that means they don't have the right. The government has the rights.
It's still a due process hearing. Like immigration hearings are still part of due process. Like I don't understand why that
There was a
is so
due
hard to
process
understand.
before the Aliens Enemy Act, which says you don't have to go to an immigration hearing. And besides that, there's not much defending yourself. They just tell you stay in the country, leave the country, or whatever, whatever. But hit the like and subscribe button. I don't really see how it's much different. I've never heard of anyone really defending themselves and beating the case in an immigration hearing. The judge, for instance, the gay guy that was from Venezuela, the judge already looked at his his I think he was an MS-13 member. No, he was Trende de Agua, whatever that gang is called. He was part of that. The judge saw his tattoos. Yes, he knows he's escaping Venezuela, but the judge said, okay, maybe this guy's a public concern for public safety, so we're not gonna go any further. We're just gonna cancel his court hearings. The judge canceled his court hearings. This was nothing to do with Trump either. The judge, it's California, so it's some of the most liberal judges in the whole country, and they canceled his court case. They said, well, we have this new Alien Enemies Act. The court system's already backed up for years and years right now. This guy would just be in prison in the U.S. for 3-4 years, so we're just gonna deport him.
Yeah, no, the whole like tattoo thing, like they've been using that over and over and over again, and it's been repeatedly shown.
It's
Oh yeah,
always
these
been used,
tattoos are
but
actually not to do with gang affiliation whatsoever. They're just using that as like a catch-all to just deport anybody that they want to.
well, that's kind of what happens when you get crazy gang looking tattoos, just like American citizens. You know how many people have been hit with gang enhancements that what a gang enhancement charge is, right? When they accuse you of being in a gang. So, if you rob a store and they accuse you of being a gang member, they'll give you more time. You know how many times,
Okay,
American citizens have been hit with gang enhancement charges? Criminals, people with
what does that have to
tattoos
do
should
with
be
any of this?
knowing that if you get a tattoo that looks exactly like a gang tattoo, then there's a high chance that if you ever do a crime, you could
But
get
that's
hit
the
with
thing though,
gang
these don't
enhancements.
look exactly like gang tattoos. It's like the most fucking weird like interpretation
If you
bullshit
asked
game that
me
they're
if they look
playing.
like gang tattoos, or if you asked a regular person, they would say, "Yeah, that looks like a gang tattoo."
Yeah, if you ask any conservative what any tattoos look like, they're gonna
And
say
if
all
you have
tattoos
like
look like
three
gang tattoos.
crowns on you, that like three crowns or anything like that, or if you have like, you know, M with, or if you have a weed sign and a money sign and a one and a three, or not a three, a what was it? Something that's covered up a three. It was like I don't know, like a grape or something on his knuckle or something. That kind of looks like an MS-13 to me. I mean, maybe it didn't spell out MS-13 completely like, the text above it said, but it looked pretty much like an MS-13 tattoo to me.
But you're if you take yeah, if there's people with legit MS-13 gang member tattoo, like I don't know if you've ever seen what these people in these gangs look like. They don't hide it. They don't put these cryptic tattoos on like under their armpit and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm part of it." No, they're like loud and proud about it. Like that's just
They
how it
don't
is.
just put gang member right on their chest. I mean, I've never seen a gang member with the word gang member Trende Agua right on their chest. They definitely put different symbols and signs and different stuff. And like they said, the Chicago Bulls jersey with different currencies and his hoodie, like that's kind of a thing that they're known for.
I don't remember the different currencies in the hoodie thing. I do remember, oh, he has this tattoo that could somewhat be interpreted as a gang tattoo, which is just the officer deciding. Like it's been a well-known thing that police officers use tattoos as like, oh yeah, you're part of a gang, and it's not a good metric unless it's like MS-13 tattooed across the forehead or something, which plenty of MS-13 gang members have those tattoos. Like
I've never ever seen that.
okay, well, you
I've
can
seen
find the
lots of
pic. You
gang
can look it
tattoos
up. You look
before.
up MS-13 gang members, and you'll see them littered with the most obvious tattoos.
I mean, I have done that before, and I have seen them littered with the most obvious tattoos, but I've never seen a gang member with a tat. Like, you've never seen a Crip or a Blood with a tattoo I mean, maybe. You've never seen a Crip or a Blood with a tattoo that says, I'm a Blood gang member on them. They don't spell it obviously for you. They know they're not stupid. They know what kind of criminal charges they're going to get hit with, and the lifestyle they live.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like MS-13 gang members and all these people, like it's been studied so much by this point that like a lot of these people getting sent
And
away
if
based
you
on
have that kind of
tattoos. I would like to
thing, you
finish,
could say,
please.
"Oh, none of these
Please.
tattoos are gang. None of them." You could just say that at that point. You could just say, unless it actually says the full word spelled out with "I'm a gang member" in it, then it must not be. You can even argue if it says MS-13 itself. You could say, "Oh, that's not actually MS-13. That's My Smiles 13 or
I
something
really
like that."
this is this is just a brain dead fucking line we're
We can
going
move
down.
on to
I
another
say we change the
subject if you want
subject.
to.
Let's just change the subject because we're not getting anywhere with this.
What do you want to talk about? How they call
Dude,
Trump a rapist, but Biden has rape allegations as well? Or
we could
that
talk about
Biden
that.
spent
Sure. I'm not
500. What do you think?
I'm
Biden
not a
spent
Biden fan.
577 days on vacation, the most vacation days of any president in recorded history. Right
Yeah.
behind him was George W. Bush with 1,000 days of his 8-year term, which came about to 35% of George Bush's term was spent on vacation. 39% of Biden's term was spent on vacation. What do you think?
I mean, sure. Yeah. If you're president, you probably shouldn't be taking a bunch of vacation time. I'm not like a massive Biden fan. Like I'm not here to defend Biden.
What do
Like
you
there
think
are
about Biden's borders? He deported more people than Trump.
what's up?
I said, what do you think about Biden's term? He deported more people than Trump.
Yeah, but he was giving them due process, so that's fine. Like I don't have an issue with that.
What about Obama when he put kids in cages?
That's something we could talk about. He used those expedited, methods, and they weren't allowed access to lawyers and stuff, and it was an expedited process. I'm not a fan of that either.
But no
I'm
one
not
ever really
just.
complained about that. Why do you think that is? Because of the liberal
I don't know. I
CNN
was a kid
media they
when that
own?
happened. I wasn't in politics. I was a child. I was more concerned about what juice box my mom put in my lunch than what Obama was doing with immigration.
Obama did what? Question mark. Someone said. Trump did the same thing and blamed Obama. Basically said, "What can I do?" Trump did not put kids in cages. That was an accusation that CNN made against Trump. They showed a photo of the kids in cages from Obama's term and said Trump did this.
Okay.
What are they saying? I'm reading what they're saying. Still concerned about juice boxes.
Hey man, if you don't like juice
Absolutely.
boxes, that's on you.
They did complain and there were court injunctions. Let's talk about court injunctions. You say that all the judges and all the stuff agree with Trump. No other president in history has had this many court injunctions. Not even close. And this is just the first 6 months of his presidency. I'm comparing Trump's first 6 months now to presidents that have been in office for 8 years. Even in 8 years, no president has gotten this many court injunctions.
Are you talking about Trump? I missed the first
Yeah.
part of what you said.
I said Trump has the most court injunctions out
Probably
of
because
any
he's breaking the
president.
law more than any other president in modern history.
Well, how do you think he's breaking the law?
Well, I mean, he's openly defying the courts. Like, that's pretty on the nose breaking the law, wouldn't you think?
The Aliens Enemy Act.
No, when the court says you need to facilitate his return or you need to, whatever else. Like, he can't just
He tried to
unilaterally, I'm
facilitate his
going to I'm going to
term.
put in this act and I'm just unilaterally.
He disconnected, I think. Okay, now I can hear you. Maybe it was my connection, but I kind of heard what you said. But also, I have the video here. I never played it, so let's play the video of. I don't have my laptop charged, so I'm just gonna show you guys on my shitty phone right here. So here, let me play it. Let's see if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if it'll show the whole thing either. It's just a 2-minute video by Boston Global. But let's see if he said that. You said that Trump said it. You said the thing The president of El Salvador said that Trump said that it's up to Trump to return them or something. You said, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's
Yep.
see. Let me turn on the volume. Hold on.
Well, Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago, and they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no credibility. Please go ahead.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, yeah, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? It's always
Yeah, exactly what I remember.
I can't even hear it.
He said, of course, I'm not going to smuggle a terrorist into the United States. He didn't say anything about Trump.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to?
Let's watch it again.
I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right? It's always how can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States. You can release him inside of Salvador. Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? And that's not going to happen. Well, they'd love to have a criminal, you know. Yeah.
He doesn't blame it on Trump at all. I don't see what you were saying.
He just said that he didn't. I don't remember exact. There was a lot said there, but he said he doesn't have the power to send him back, which is him handing off the baton to Trump.
He was illegally in the United States.
He said he's not going to send them back because he's a terrorist, and they just
And then
came
he
back
said
from.
it. He said it wasn't his authority.
He didn't say anything about it's not his authority. I'll play it again.
He says he doesn't have the power to do that.
He didn't say that either. Okay, he said
I
he
do
doesn't
not have the
the
power to return him.
He does
And then
have the
Trump,
power, though.
if you keep watching later on, Trump says it's on him, Bukele, to decide to send him back. They just play this little game.
Well, either way, this guy isn't even the most popular recent victim. They're now crying about the gay dude. And he's kind of lying. He's
Okay,
saying, I don't
we're
have
just
the
going to
power.
move on. We're just going to move on. You're not going to admit that I was completely right about what I was saying?
You were right about some of it. He did say I don't have the
I was
power, but he didn't
100%
blame it
correct.
on Trump, and he didn't say anything else.
Well, if you would have
right on
played
that
the rest
part.
of the video,
Huh?
played the rest of the video, they would have given the baton to Trump, and he would have said he doesn't have the power to do it either. It has to be Bukele who sends him back.
I mean, there's the fascination.
All right, let's see.
Jesus, people. Mark, do you have something to say? Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States. And
either way, it doesn't make too much of a difference. He's not coming back. I think we can agree.
Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back or places like that. I can tell you this.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Venezuela is refusing to take people back, so they can't even send that guy to Venezuela even if they wanted to.
That still doesn't change the fact that there was a court order that he was not to be sent to El Salvador. So
I'm not talking about that guy. That guy's from El Salvador. I'm talking about the recent gay guy that they were playing on the news today. He was from Venezuela. You said, oh, they should have sent him back to Venezuela. Well, Venezuela isn't accepting any of their immigrants back.
I don't know if that's true or not. I would have to look into it.
Well, Trump sent a plane there, and he told them to go back. There was a whole thing about it on the news.
Okay.
I mean, he's a dictator.
Who?
The leader of not Trump, the leader of Venezuela.
Okay. That's
so
probably
he's
true.
probably not going to listen.
I mean, Bukele is also a dictator. Would you agree?
No, I don't think so. I think he got elected. and he's leaving office in like 2 years. So I don't see how he's.
But
a
he's
dictator.
literally self-admitted to be the coolest dictator in the world. Like he's
Is that true?
100%
Should we look
dictator.
that up?
Pretty sure it was like on his Twitter or something like that.
President Bukele admits he's a dictator. Let's see if it pops up. I mean, I don't know how their government works, to be honest. And if he's a dictator, then hell, man, their country's really, really safe. I wish the U.S. was that safe.
We could definitely get into that. You wish Trump was the dictator of the country?
I mean, you think Trump's already the dictator, so.
I think he wants to be. I think he's trying to be. I don't
Oh,
think
so you
he's
don't think he's
quite
a
there yet.
dictator? Do you think he's a
Not yet.
Nazi?
Depends on what you mean. Depends on who's accusing him.
Why does it depend on who is accusing him? Is he a Nazi or not?
Well, because I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. Nazi kind of gets thrown around a lot nowadays. So you could make the argument that he's a Nazi because he's, taking these, just like Hitler did with the Jews. And before you lose your mind, I'm not saying they're one-to-one comparison,
So
but
you're
there are
saying he's not a
aspects
Nazi then, basically.
there are aspects that are
He's like
similar,
a
like
Nazi, you're saying.
sending immigrants away without due process to a foreign torture prison is a pretty Nazi-esque thing to do. But I would avoid that whole conversation altogether because people lose their fucking minds whenever Nazi comes up. So I would just call him a fascist.
Well, if he's a Nazi for deporting illegal immigrants, is Obama also the first black Nazi before Kanye came out, or how does that work?
Obama wasn't sending them to a foreign torture prison.
Well, he was deporting them and he was putting them in cages. Is that Nazi-like?
I've already admitted that I'm not a fan of how Obama did his immigration process. I don't know why you're trying to get a gotcha here.
No, I'm just asking you a question. I'm not trying to get a gotcha. I'm just asking you. Do you think Obama was a Nazi?
No, because him and
Why?
Trump's
Because he's black?
processes are not the same. They
Yeah,
did
you're
a
right. Trump
similar
doesn't put them
thing.
in cages.
Trump does put them in foreign torture prisons, though.
Well, I wouldn't call it a torture prison. If you're going to call it a torture, isn't every prison a torture?
No, we already covered that.
I mean, there's no such thing as a prison that you don't get tortured in. Either you're getting tortured because you're in a cell
That's
for
actually not
12
true at all.
hours a day. You think prison isn't torture? You think prison isn't torture? You think there's
I
any
mean, you
prison that
could
makes you
construe
happy?
it as torture, but what I mean by torture is like getting beaten on a regular basis for no reason. Like, yeah, if you're causing a problem, if you're
Sounds like
fighting other
every
inmates,
prison.
you're going to get beaten. But you don't just get if in the prisons in the US, you don't just get beaten for just like minding your own business and staying there. That just
Yeah,
doesn't
you
happen.
do.
Yeah, it might with some corrupt prison guards and shit, but that is not like a standard of how they do things. In CCOT, that is like literally written in the books that they can do whatever the fuck they want to them.
Yeah, but they do whatever the fuck they want to prisoners in America.
Yeah, sure. If that's true in some of the prisons in America, I don't like that either. Again, like, I don't know why you keep bringing this stuff up as if like I'm gonna disagree with you there.
I'm just saying, all prisons are torture.
But it's not that. My goodness,
It's
it's
worse. You're
not.
trying to say it's worse than some
You're using an
prisons.
umbrella term. You're just saying torture. Oh well. Any of this stuff, being in prison, just the act of being imprisoned is torture. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm using a very specific definition of torture, and like the definition of torture that virtually anybody else would use in any other given circumstance.
Well, I would argue that the prison in El Salvador, once again, is better than probably a lot of prisons in the U.S. And probably a lot of detention centers. Probably a lot of detention centers where immigrants are being held. The prison in El Salvador is probably better.
I don't know what else I could say here. Like,
but I stand corrected. You were right when you said the president calls himself the coolest dictator. I guess I see a clip about it or whatever.
The world's coolest dictator. Just to annoy the critics. Now he's the president of El Salvador for a second term. Meet Najib.
But what else do you want to talk about? Israel again or what? Hit the like and subscribe button.
We can talk about whatever. I mean, it doesn't sound like I disagree with your characterization of how, I mean, the current like conflict in Gaza. But it sounds like you were saying that you're not a fan of how Israel has been acting at least since October 7th with the starving and bombing civilians and
Well, it
shooting
goes on
children
both
in the head.
sides, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that if you attack another country that you're a victim. I just don't think that's true. If you, I mean, I know, like
So all the
obviously you
citizens of
can.
Palestine are a victim because of a small group of terrorists that decided to do what they did on
I mean,
October
Israel is
7th.
getting harassed by Hamas too.
Well, yeah, but like we've seen all the numbers. Hamas is only growing because of this Israel conflict. Like Israel keeps bombing. Like they'll say, "Hey, go to this safe haven. Like you guys need to move to this point," and then they just bomb the safe haven where they told them to move. Like of course, Hamas is going to grow in numbers when Israel is committing the ethnic cleansing and genocide that they're doing.
Someone said the citizens of Palestine don't attack anyone. Well, if you want to call them the citizens or if you want to call Hamas, I mean, you can say that they're separate and whatnot, but the fact is, I mean, first off, they have a long history. So I think just talking about the Ukraine and Russian situation would probably be a more easy thing to talk about because we're talking about two countries that have like hundreds of years of beef with each other. So I mean, if I say one thing, you can just say, "Oh, 100 years ago or 50 years ago, they did this to them, and then they did this to them," and it's just gonna be nonsense going back and forth.
It's not nonsense though, because I mean, it's only going to be nonsense if you make it that way. Like if you look at the death toll of Palestinians versus Israelis, like it's just not comparable at all. Like it is literally every country in the world. Even Trump was like, "Yeah, I'm not a fan of this Netanyahu guy," which might be the only thing Trump's ever said that I agree with or whatever. Like every country in the world is now acknowledging that Netanyahu and the Zionist regime are war criminals and that they should be put on trial and arrested for what they're
I
doing.
get that. I get that. I get that. But at the same time, I think that the support for Palestine is a little overinflated comparing the total death and the total devastation of people in Ukraine and Russia and stuff like that. Like millions of dollars are getting poured, maybe even billions and billions of dollars are getting poured into Palestine. Where is all that money going? I think a lot of it is being funneled to people in Palestine that now live in Qatar or in some mansion somewhere and stuff like that. Like a lot of that money is probably getting stolen. And also, everyone is focusing on Gaza. Only 60,000 people died
Only
in Ukraine. Literally millions, maybe a couple million, maybe a million. We don't really know the exact numbers, but probably at least a million people have died in the Ukrainian Russian conflict. That's literally a 10x.
I
Yet we
don't
don't
know
see
why
any fundraisers. We don't see any liberal news outlets pushing, oh, fundraiser for Ukraine, this and that. We don't see any of that going on for them.
I don't know why we're talking about Ukraine. I thought we were talking about Israel-Palestine.
Well, you were making up the comparison before because you said I brought it up. Russia and Palestine, I said, are kind of the same because they both attacked first.
Right? I was
And,
saying that you said that.
and people aren't, donating to Russia like they donate
Oh
to
fuck.
Gaza. And people aren't donating to Ukraine like they donate to Gaza.
I mean, whose fault is that? Like what
It's the
has
liberal
Trump
news
done?
media.
Brother, Trump is literally calling Zelensky a dictator. He's basically telling Ukraine to fuck off, and he's giving Israel all. I mean, at least until pretty recently, the U.S. has been giving Israel every single one of their demands, giving them weapons and whatever else. Like,
Well, to be fair, the majority of that was done under Biden's presidency. Trump's only been
yeah,
president
I
for
know.
5
I'm not a fan
months.
of that either. Like, I've already said I'm not a fan of Biden specifically because of how he handled the Israel conflict. Because he said, "Oh, they're not committing a genocide," and he just kept sending them weapons, and it was very
I mean,
clear what
every U.S.
Israel was
president
doing.
is going to do that. And you kind
I
of
know,
agreed. You
and I
said
think that's an
it's
issue.
questionable that the president of Ukraine doesn't hold an election.
Again, that's a complete change of topic. Like,
Yeah,
we're
but you
talking
said
about
Trump
Israel
called him a
Palestine.
dictator, but basically you called him the same thing without saying it. You said it's
I
questionable, which
I can't
means
do this anymore. I was supposed to go 30 minutes ago, and I kept
okay,
going because I
okay,
thought we were
go.
actually going to get somewhere. But this is
Where do you want? Where are you
this is
trying to
making me
get?
lose IQ points.
Where are you trying to get? What do you want me to agree
No,
with
it's
you
not
on?
specific location trying to get somewhere. It's just I can't keep you on the same topic without you going on a 5-minute rant about all kinds of random different facts. And I'm not going to sit here and I can't fucking respond to everything that you say. And then I try to keep us on track and then you just change the topic to a different point. So I'm done.
It's because you don't have the answers and you're not educated on everything and you're not researched on everything. But the only reason I
Sure,
keep
we can
bringing up
go
Russia
with that.
with Palestine is because you're the one in the Discord that says, "Oh yeah, let's talk about the comparison between Palestine and Russia," because you were talking about it on your live stream the other day. I already told
Yeah, and
you
then that's what
they
we
attacked
started the
first.
conversation with that. You said, "Oh, it's because they attacked first." And I said, "Well, Israel was occupying them, starving them, moving them out of their homes. That's a pretty aggressive act. So if you want to talk about who was the aggressor first, I think there's a safe assumption that we could say that it's Israel. Sure, they didn't do the, October 7th terrorist attack, obviously, but
So
the conflict didn't start on
October
October
7th
7th.
is when the
The conflict did not
yeah,
start
that's
on
when the
October
main
7th,
war started.
but the
Before then
conflict
there
has been
wasn't
going on
nonstop
for
before then there wasn't nonstop genocide in your own words.
I mean, there was starvation. There was people getting moved out of their homes that they had been on for, or their
But that
land that
wasn't
they've been on
war.
for
That wasn't
generations.
full-fledged war.
Yeah, but that's still an aggressive, violent act to forcibly remove people from the land that they've lived on for generations. Like, you can't say that. Yeah, you can take the super basic take of, oh well, October 7th is when the actual war started, but that's not how any like reasonable historian or any commentator on this conflict would ever look at it. Like, you have to take everything
I
into
mean, if
account.
you ask someone when the recent conflict started, they're going to say October 7th. And if you ask them when, the very first conflict started, they're going to say some other year or something like that.
I don't know what your point is.
My point is, these are different conflicts. Before, that was a different situation. Yes, they were getting starved. I agree with
It's literally the
everything you're
exact
saying.
same situation between the two same groups of people.
Well, I don't have anything else to say that. I don't think it's the exact same situation. You can say
Yeah,
that
neither
the
do I.
same thing about Russia and Ukraine.
I'm
You can
already late for
say,
my family dinner. I can't keep
all
doing
right,
this.
man,
I gotta go.
enjoy your dinner. Thank you for joining. Thank you for
Of
discussing.
course.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
See ya. Hit the
Peace.
like and subscribe button, guys. Well, that was interesting conversation, but I definitely, Israel. If you want to debate me, you can join my Discord. Hit the like and subscribe button. Yeah, you missed it, buddy. You missed it. But that was an interesting guy. I mean, at least he believed in borders and stuff like that. He just doesn't understand the Aliens Enemy Act. But he's not pro Biden either, so whatever. I'll respect him for that. He's done stuff for the middle class. He's lowering the taxes. I mean, I was debating him, but he doesn't really want to debate too much about it. I said the Aliens Enemy Act, which is the exact reason why they're getting deported. The Alien Enemy Act is literally the act. Trump didn't invent this act. It says they don't need to go to an immigration hearing, which I would argue an immigration hearing isn't even due process in the first place. But maybe that wasn't the best debate. I wouldn't really say one person won or the other person won, but it was an interesting conversation more than anything. Well, how do you feel about Hunter Biden getting his pardon? He didn't pay taxes. Not just at wartime. The Alien Enemy Act is not just for wartime. That man was uneducated about that too. He said the same thing. The Enemies Aliens Act is also during an invasion. My Discord is in the link in my bio. You're welcome to join it. We can debate sometime. We can talk, discuss, whatever you like. You don't have to be convicted to be deported. Wrong. It's not only during wartime. You're completely wrong. Completely wrong. Man doesn't even Google the Alien Enemy Act. If it was only during wartime, it would have never got reinstated. When millions of illegal immigrants are coming into the country, I would say it is being invaded. Hit the like and subscribe button. Trump hasn't taken any debates, any bribes. Hit the like and subscribe button. Join the Discord link in bio. What the hell is EO? The Enemy's Alien Act. Should I look it up and show you guys? Are you going to cry? No, no, no. Yes, Enemy's Alien Act can be an executive order. So let me read the Alien Enemies Act to you. The Alien Enemy Act is a U.S. federal law that grants a presidential broad authority during wartime, originally enacted, to detain or deported non-citizens who are national enemies. And also during times of invasion. Or when a nation is considered a threat. What else? What else? The invasion of our country by illegal immigrants. The same people that's saying there's no invasion wants open borders. Illegal immigration, crossing the border illegally and entering the country, is an invasion. Hit the like and subscribe button, guys. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Join my Discord, please. Link in bio. Join the Discord, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Some people do want open borders. I've talked to people on the show before that do want open borders. Like, subscribe, share. I know what an executive order is. Thank you, Will. Thank you. Hit the like and subscribe button, guys. Only 38 viewers. Peace out. Later, Lunchbox. Thank you for joining.